Thanks so much for tuning in. Have you ever been told about the good fortune of a friend or foe? Maybe they got a huge promotion with a big raise, and your immediate response, maybe not out loud, but in your mind was, how come? How come that happened to her and not to me? Or let's say your girlfriend meets a gorgeous and good guy and he wants to marry her, and you think, how come her? You know in your heart you are better looking and you have been praying and waiting longer for a mate. I believe that this question, how come, is revealing and toxic. Why? Saying it or thinking it is a reflection of what's really going on below the radar in our hearts. And let me tell you, it's not pretty. Saying or thinking how come, I believe, is like taking poison that slowly penetrates every fiber of our being and then snuffs the life out of us. We look around and don't know why we are depressed, sick, angry, insecure, or immobilized. We can't be 100% genuinely happy for the successes and achievements of others. All joy is gone. It's a slow death. How come is a symptom of one or more of the following. Number one, the twins, jealousy and envy. Jealousy produces resentment against someone's success or advantage. It produces the fear of being misplaced. But envy is worse than jealousy. It's more deeply entrenched. You strongly desire what the other person has. God calls envy a sin. It's listed in Galatians 5 as an evil result of our sinful nature, a work of the flesh. How come is a symptom of the three C's: comparing, competing, and coveting. Comparison is at the root of jealousy and envy. When you ask how come, you are comparing her situation to your situation. And if you're not careful, you begin to compete with the person and then covet what they have. The 10th commandment is, thou shalt not covet anything that is your neighbor's. You are filled with discouragement and discontentment with what God has given you. You believe God is not fair and you got the raw deal. 3, selfishness. You want all the toys. You don't want God to bless others more than you. You want all the great opportunities, all the platforms, all the great deals. We are told not to be selfish in Philippians 2:3, and selfish ambition is listed as a lust of the flesh in Galatians 5:20. Another symptom of saying how come points to what's possibly lodged in our heart, and that is number 4, pride or a lack of humility. Pride says, I deserve that and they don't. I work harder. It says, I am more gifted, more educated, more worthy, more beautiful, talented, spiritual, and smarter. We're in essence saying, I know better than God what's best. He made a mistake. And that, my dear friend, is a scary place to be. So please check your pride meter. James 4:6 says, God opposes the proud but gives grace to the humble. Asking how come is not neither new regarding its harmful effects. So how can we eradicate the how come syndrome and be set free? I have 6 suggestions. 1, confront this pattern in your thoughts, words, and actions. Admit you're guilty of asking the prideful, envious, selfish, self-centered question of how come. Cry out to God and confess it as sin. Receive His forgiveness. Number 2, change your focus from that person eclipsing you to God's position, because He's the one in charge. He calls the shots. He can choose to bless or promote whomever He wants, when He wants, how He wants, and where He wants, because He is God. 3, cultivate joy for yourself and others and contentment for what you've been given. Both are attitudes you can intentionally cultivate. Be content with what God has called you to do your assignment. Relish in it. Be joyful for the success of others in their pursuits. Be content to stay in your lane. Choose to affirm others. 4, be faithful in your calling. Be the best you can be with what you've been given. Number 5, be humble and loving. Acknowledge the need for humility, not thinking more highly of yourself than warranted. Author Dave Roper says, humble people don't seek to be great. They don't grandstand, nor do they draw attention to themselves. And number 6, be full of God's Word. Let it be your daily diet. I honestly believe this is the only way to totally eradicate the how come syndrome. Daily digesting God's Word. It's our internal cleansing agent. It's only when we consistently spend time in God's Word that it's clear where we're falling short. God can point out the pride, jealousy, envy, and show us what we need to do to extract it. I know this is how He reveals the deficiencies in my character when I read and reflect on His Word. So if you really want to eradicate how come-itis, I suggest regularly reviewing these principles, because the question, how come, can pop up when you least expect. Thanks for watching.